Welcome everybody to Mind Shifters Radio. This is the second hour. Today is Monday, April the 12th, 2021, and our calling number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And we're waiting on Michael to get signed in, and I see a hand just went up, so I'm going to go ahead and click on area code 520. You're on the air. Who do I have?
Yes, this is Audrey.
Hey, Audrey. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. I can go ahead and talk with you, or if you want to wait until Michael gets signed in, and then you'll be first caller, whichever you would prefer.
Oh, we can talk, and then when Michael comes in, then we can get
dialing in now. Yeah.
Hey.
Okay. How's things going?
Oh, it's going better and better when I work the program.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I'm consciously aware of working it, and there has been a big change since November. But, I had a little fall, a psychological fall. But I came out of the hole, and it's all good.
Awesome.
So
and I think Michael came in at the tail end of that.
Yeah, and my offering for you is you didn't have a fall at all. You had, if you think back to before what you're calling the fall happened, you hit a whole new level of vitality. And when you hit that new level of vitality, you can then dig into the next layer of what you need to work through. And that looks like a fall because you go back into those old symptoms. But if you keep using the tools and working them, then you find that was really an upgrade. It gave you an opportunity to process a deeper layer of hidden information and let go of a load. And then as you do that, you come up the other side and you're still higher than that new high level. So you're right on track with it. That's the process. It takes some time to understand that.
Yeah. Absolute sense and a wonderful explanation for me. And I called in. I have a few questions.
Great. Let's go for it.
Okay. Since thought, I've written it down, so I'm going to read it. Since thoughts are things, thought forms, energetic patterning, and it's always in E-motion. As I process my worksheet, then is there a shift from the conscious mind, from the subconscious, from one to the other, conscious and subconscious, as I do the worksheet?
Okay, well, let's introduce a different concept here. There are three levels of functioning of what we call the body's mind. There's conscious, what you're aware of in a given moment. And then there's subconscious, which is what you are not aware of, but can become aware of at any time. For instance, right now you have subconscious information about the color of your car. So I say, Audrey, what color is your car? Those brain cells fire, and you have full access to them. You go, my car is blue or white or red, or whatever it happens to be. So conscious and subconscious are changing places continuously. If I said, what's the front door of your house look like? What's your favorite item of clothing? You're not thinking about the color of your car, quote unquote thinking.
Right.
And of course, it's not thinking at all. It's just resonating information. The next level, and what the work is about cleaning up, is we have this veil. In the ancient teachings, they said the veil of the temple must be rent in twain. And of course, they translate it for the lower mind as a purple curtain in a church. But the veil is literally the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious. Now, the unconscious, I would offer, is an unnatural condition. It's a a way of hiding or dissociating from content in our minds that we don't want to look at. And the way that we do that is by talking about how somebody else is the problem. See, they made me mad. Now, when I say you made me mad, I take my mad part of my mind, which a moment ago was subconscious and I could access it, and I hide it from myself. I create an artificial barrier that makes that part of my mind impossible for me to access. So I've dissociated from that part of my mind, and I've created this unnatural, unconscious condition. So then,
Michael, wait, just stop a
go ahead.
moment. Please, this to me, I don't process that quickly. Could you just speak a little bit slower, and
Sure.
I'd appreciate it because I'm trying to
Sure.
follow this
Of
concept.
course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, go,
Okay.
please. Yes.
And it's just building brain cells, and then there'll come a point where it'll just go click and be, oh, well, that's so obvious. So again, when I go into denial, I say, when I talked to Audrey, she made me mad.
So
I just said to my mind, well, let's ferret this out. When I said you made me mad, I entered into denial. Our definition of denial, when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's going on inside of me.
Right.
And when I do that, I demand of my mind that my mind produce a picture that Audrey's the cause of my mad. And to produce that false picture, I have to hide the truth from myself. I have to make the truth, my mad's about me. It's not about you at all. You may have triggered it, but it's mine. But I have to hide that truth from myself in order to believe that you're the cause of that mad or whatever else I'm blaming somebody for.
Okay.
So I just created that unnatural condition. That's the unconscious. What forgiveness does, and that, I mean, we've been trained as non-humans to do that all our lives. You made me mad. You made me sad. You hurt me. That upset me. They disturbed me. The world situation causes me so much pain. All of that's denial and creates an unconscious condition in my mind. It creates a set of brain cells that I can no longer access directly.
Right. Okay.
So what the forgiveness process does is, and the genius of Yeshua to have understood this and brought this to the world is monumental, to understand the mind on this level. I mean, psychology hasn't even started to scratch the surface of how the mind works. Not even close. Yeshua, 2,000 years ago, knew exactly how to access and clean up the unconscious. You enter into the forgiveness process, and what happens is when I have dissociated content, I'm pointing my mad at you because you didn't do this. You didn't fulfill a goal I had for you. I use that unconscious part of my mind, those hidden brain cells, to build my brain's false image of you, perception, a construct of my mind, that really shows me that you're the problem in my life. When I look into and realize that in order to do that, there's a goal that I had for you that you're not fulfilling for me. And I cancel that goal, that perceptual construct that is a reflection of unconscious data collapses. And when it collapses, it collapses in on itself. Now I've got access to my unconscious again. And I can clean it up.
Okay.
I bring that unconscious data, that dissociated content, forward in the presence of love, and in the presence of love, a transmutation. Healing occurs. Now I've taken that out of the unconscious realm, and so it no longer flares up and runs my mouth every time somebody triggers or trips across that part of my mind. So now I get to function as a fully conscious being, and I return that information to the subconscious level of mind, so I have access to it anytime I want.
Okay, so that false belief, that thought disorder, then gets transmutated. Okay, so then it goes back into and then when something is triggered, I don't project and react as I did. Correct?
Correct. I de-energize. When I brought that unconscious information with all its rage or sadness or fear or whatever forward in the presence of love, I de-energized that. I transmuted that energy, and now it's just another piece of information in my mind. So now along comes Audrey, triggers that mad part of me, and instead of "you made me mad," I go, "Oh, Audrey, you just triggered that. I guess I have still a little more work to do on this angry part of my mind," and I realize that I have this thought disorder, and I can become conscious of what's in my subconscious. It's not hidden from me anymore, and so I can simply clean it up. I can simply correct those thought disorders, and I don't have to play the game of blaming everybody else around me when that happens. I just become a lot more fun person to hang out with, when I look in the mirror or I'm with anybody, because I'm not doing that blame game anymore in order to keep my unconscious out of awareness, to keep it hidden away.
Gain awareness, I gain enlightenment to the process, and as I do the process, I gain more joy.
Precisely.
Okay. And
well,
actually,
I can't gain more joy than I have
because I'm already
in my created beingness. I just have gotten rid of that which dampened down and hid my joy under this dissociated hostility or fear. So I just make it more available to me. I mean, I was given a full measure. Everybody at creation, everybody at birth was given a full measure of joy. And if they hold a lot of unconscious hostility and fear, then that joy is covered up by the movement of hostility or fear and the blame of others. When I do the work, I free myself of that, and what shows up instead of unconscious hostility or fear blocking, if you listen to the Course in Miracles, it says you need not seek for love, you need only seek, find, and release the barriers you built against it.
Right. Uh-huh.
And that's what you're doing when you do forgiveness. Right. So if you've uncovered what's always been there and how has always been yours.
Right, because when I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to you, so when source energy upon all the creation, okay, we all are sharing in the equanimity of joy. There is no less,
exactly.
There is no more. It just is. Correct?
Correct. Yes,
on
exactly.
a full measure.
Yes.
Okay. And as the worksheet is done and the inner work is done, those blocks are dismantled. They are transmuted, and it goes back, and the joy replaces that block. Is that what you're saying?
Precisely.
Okay. Now I have another question. In my genetic patterning, okay, similar to a mother duck imprinting her patterning on her little ducklings.
Right.
Those beings before me in my genetic line, as I do my inner work and I dismantle the thought disorder and bring forth in that thought disorder by dismantling that, and it is joy, then these beings that are in spirit, because we all are bodies in spirit, right? We're all spiritual beings. Then as my forgiveness process happens, I release those who are still in that patterning.
Well, my take would be that you can't force them to make the shift, but as you do the work around the energetic dynamics that they introduced into the bloodline maybe 2 or 10 generations ago. As you do that piece of work, you open my take is you open the energy window that makes it easier for them to walk through it. You can't force them to go through the door or the window, but you've opened it so it, correct. But you've opened it so they're it was for them perhaps totally an unconscious dynamic that they just had no idea how to break through. You come along 2 or 10 generations later and you open it and you clean it up, and you've just opened the energy window that makes it easier for them to step through it, free them from it. And in fact, in the ancient teachings, that was called praying for the dearly departed. Praying, you becoming the space of love, doing your work, opened the energy gate for those who had gone before us and didn't know how to deal with what was going on in their lives. Just passed it along.
Right. Well, thank you for the explanation of praying for the dearly departed, because I had words, but I did not understand the concept. But I heard you talk about it before, but I didn't understand it at the level that I understand it today.
Sweet.
I don't know if that makes, yeah.
It makes perfect sense. And, if you remember in Aramaic, the word prayer means not get down on your hands and knees and tell the Creator what the Creator should be doing for you today. It's not about putting your order into the cosmic gift catalog, as the Greeks have interpreted it. The word prayer in Aramaic means to set a trap for God. God being love, the energy field in which we live, move, and have our being, we are designed to resonate with, capture that energy of love that we're moving through, and reflect it live in the world. That's prayer. So if I have a particular issue that comes from 5 generations back or 2 generations back, or imprinting from Mom when I was 2, as I do my forgiveness work around it and enter into that space where I am presencing the active love of God in me, and I bring forward that untoward energy, that's where the transmutation takes place, and I have opened the space for the dearly departed.
Thank you. And Michael, could you, because you're such a wonderful person who, it's a wonderful explanation of these words, could you expound on the word transference?
Well, if you go through all the videos from the Codependence Intensive, we'll talk a lot about, although I don't particularly use the word transference, I use more the word projection. But for me, the concept of transference would be you and I interact, and I bring up, let's say, dissociated fear in you. So I resonate the fear brain cells in your unconscious.
Right.
You've dissociated from, so you can't access them directly. And so your mind automatically uses that unconscious information to build its brain's image of me. So the very dissociated content that I've resonated in you, you use to build a picture of me. That, to me, would be the transference that happens. So now I show up in your perceptual construct as the cause of what you've dissociated from.
Right.
Because your unconscious is using that information to build its brain's image of me. So I would classify, to me, it's more clear to say than that is projection. And so, and our culture teaches that projection is taking something that's inside of us and putting it outside of us. That really isn't projection at all. Projection is taking something that's inside of us that we've dissociated from and using it to build our brain's image of them. So they show up in our mind with our problem attached, and we're sure it must be their problem. But here I am feeling it and experiencing it. So that would be how I would categorize transference. It's really projection. And then if you listen to last week's shows, we've been talking about the chapter in the book on projection and externalization. So once I've got that picture, that construct that I now call Michael, it's got nothing to do with Michael. It's my brain's projection on Michael according to what he resonated in me. Then when you externalize that and you pretend that that picture inside of you is outside of you, then you externalize it. And that together, those two pieces would be my definition of transference. And you mentioned in your note counter-transference. So then when you tell me that I'm the problem in your life and that triggers my insecurity that I haven't dealt with, then I use my insecurity to build my brain's image of you, and the way I protect against my insecurity is to degrade you. So now I tell you about how crazy you are to dare to tell me that I'm the problem in your life. And now we've got counter-transference. Now we've got two people playing the same game.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's wonderful that this program has a replay, because it's like I'm a cow chewing its cud. I take the little bite, like your explanation now, and then I could listen on the replay. And thank you. I don't want to take up somebody else's time, but thank you.
You're not taking up anybody else's time. You're not taking up anybody else's time. This is your time. And as long as you have thoughts and questions, we're here to chat with you about it. So, that's absolutely perfect. And yes, it's something you can listen. We can each listen to many times.
Thank you. One other question. I was reading, and I don't know if this is right or not, but I was reading that the average person has approximately 50,000 plus thoughts per day, and some of those thoughts are the same patterning thoughts over and over again. So actually, we don't have new thoughts. We pattern those old thoughts. Correct, Michael, or not?
Yeah, they're not even thoughts. They're like you were just talking about with the radio show. They're just replays of content.
Ah, okay.
They're not thoughts at all. Just replays.
With the
some of those replays are
mind.
Yes. And some of those replays are just bits of genetic information, all kinds of stuff moves in the mind. And if I realize my mind doesn't have clarity about something and I do my work, I get to clean up those bits of data that just kind of flow through randomly, and we believe them just because they're moving in our minds. Don't believe everything that you appear to think, and realize that a lot of what we call thinking is not thinking at all. It's just resonating old content over and over and over again. I love what David Bohm says about that. He says that many people think they're thinking when all they're doing is rearranging their prejudices.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah. The problem in my life wasn't Bill, it was Harry. Oh, no, it's Hortense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
and so
you.
To continue cleaning up. And on Saturday, we did an extra session in the Codependence Intensive, and it was communication practicum.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck and Magda from the intensive did just a beautiful demonstration. It's one of the best captures that we've gotten on the responsibility communication tool, and it fits right in with this whole conversation. I mean, it was just, I am so excited to now have this in our archives. And what we're going to do is Jean's going to set up a link and put it in the notes. Of course, you've got access to it because you're part of the intensive. It was Saturdays, and Jeannie would have sent an email out to you with a link to it. And we're going to set a link up for anybody that's listening to the radio show that will be available for 2 weeks. Jeannie's going to put it in the notes. It'll be available for 2 weeks for anyone else who's not part of the intensive. It's such an important piece of work that we're going to put it in there so it's available for 2 weeks.
It's already
freely.
In the notes.
Oh, there you go. And so that'll be there for anybody that's listening to the show. If you just go to the notes today, there's a link to that 2-hour video, and then it's going to become a part of our video catalog, an extension of the the communication, did you hear what I think I said, workshop. So but that will expand brain cells on this whole topic again to a whole other level.
Okay. And the drawing you had with the 9 bits,
Yes.
The little boxes and the 9 bits of our memory.
Right.
Do they, like, say, take one little block out of the 9, like 9 squares, take 1 square out because that got cleaned up. Okay? That was transmuted. Okay. Does then another block move in its place?
Well, I would put not in so much terms of blocks, but bits of information. And if I clean out, let's say I've got some rage in some brain cells that I project into my brain's image of you, I do a forgiveness process around you, of course, realizing that I'm working with cleaning up my own mind, and I touch into that rage. I bring that rage forward and process it with love. Then rage is gone, and so now in my perception of you, I'm going to be free of that rage. When I'm free of that rage, there's then room for me to see differently. An example that comes to mind, this is a real life example. We had a young man at Heartland several years ago. He actually was on the support team for a couple of years. And when he came to Heartland, he was in his early 30s. He had not drawn a straight or sober breath since he was 14 or 15. He started smoking, drinking, and doing drugs at 14. And up to 34, 35, when he came to Heartland, he had not drawn a sober breath. He had deep hatred for his father, just outrageous hatred for his father. There was nothing good about his father, and they had spent years as this kid was doing alcohol and drugs in trauma with each other. The second year he was at Heartland, he was doing a still point breathing session. And he shared with the group after his still point session that all of a sudden he had this experience of himself being energy and his energy field reaching deep down into the earth, like he had roots in the earth energetically. He felt that. He experienced that. And out of that space, all of a sudden he had a spontaneous memory come of being a small child under 2, and his father laying on his back on the floor, holding the child up, playing with him. It was the first memory keyed to love that he'd ever had of his father. And that just opened the floodgates of the ability to be in a space of love with his father. He actually left Heartland when that summer season ended and drove straight back home and made amends with his father and cleaned his relationship up with his father. So, yeah, it changes our whole perceptual construct when we clean up underlying dynamics. It changes our whole perceptual construct about everything and makes space for things that otherwise are blocked.
Thank you so very much. I mean, I'm gaining so much. As I do my work, I'm gaining so much. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's the whole idea, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sweet. And I acknowledge your willingness to have allowed yourself to go into that level of healing process and move through the pain and the trauma that you were able to move through to just allow yourself to be with it. Yes, sometimes we get trapped in it a little bit and lost in it, but that's just a temporary step. As you keep doing your work, you clean up that data and everything changes. So, nice work.
Nice. Sweet. Blessings.
All right. Well, any other thoughts for you, young lady?
Thank you. None right now. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you and delight in having you on our support team and delight in supporting you. And thanks for opening the energy of your window on another level for this healing process to be taken globally.
Thank you.
All right. Blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Miss Jeanie.
We had another hand up.
Anything else happening? Oh, well, let's say hello then.
Okay, area code 205. You're on the air. Who do we have?
This is Joan in Birmingham.
Well, hey there, Miss Joan.
Good afternoon.
It was interesting to be watching in WhatsApp today. I didn't remember. I think you had mentioned it before, but I didn't have the detail of the time that you'd spent in Thailand. It sounds like it was pretty exciting time in your life and quite a broadening experience.
Life-changing, to say the least. It was amazing. Really
coming from a little town in southern Arkansas to Bangkok, Thailand, and teaching English and learning the Thai language. That's pretty amazing, pretty sweet.
Yeah, coal mining town in Alabama.
Right.
To Bangkok, Thailand. Yeah. And they wanted me to teach English at the American University. And if you think my southern accent is strong now, you should have heard me then.
So you were teaching Southern English.
Exactly. But fortunately, I was a class in the Thai language to learn to speak Thai. And, it's a language. And so by learning to listen to the tone, I learned to hear my southern accent. It was very interesting.
I wonder to a Thai ear what a southern coal mining girl, what her accent sounds like speaking Thai. It's got to be interesting.
Right.
Did you speak Thai with a drawl or?
Well, because of their tones, one of the things I had to learn was not draw vowels out.
Right.
Because a longer vowel would make it mean a different word.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
sweet.
Very interesting.
It was nice of you to share that with us through the WhatsApp.
Right. Very interesting to me because before I went to Thailand, I started reading about it. And over again, I would see these statements about how kind the Thai people are and how they had avoided engaging in wars going around them. And so I just thought, well, this is just people are people no matter where you go. But they were extremely kind, and a great example of it was I used to take the bus to school in the morning, but I would walk home, and it was probably about 10 or 15 blocks from the school to my house, and I had to go around or through this huge square at the intersection of two of the main streets in Bangkok. It was but a structure there where the drivers would stop to honor the Buddha, and lots of activities went on in this square. So one day I was walking home, and this square, which is usually empty at that time of day, was packed with people, shoulder to shoulder. And there was a platform with the speaker, and people in the square had signs. It was obviously some kind of a protest.
Right.
And I was obviously, from the West. I had on a mini skirt. My hair was dyed blonde. And so I'm walking through the across the square and having to squeeze my way through saying, excuse me, and I probably knew enough to say excuse me in time.
Right.
And let me through. I went into my apartment and turned on the news, and it was a demonstration against the presence of the U.S. military in Thailand.
Right.
And not one person through all those people was ever rude to me. Not one.
Yeah.
And amazing how kind they really were. So anyway,
Human
the
life,
reason I
awesome
called,
wherever you go.
Yeah, exactly. I asked I think I told you that my daughter's been studying ADHD for about it and reading everything she can find on it, and I think she's had a counselor or coach helping her develop some skills to manage her ADHD.
Right.
And so she's been sharing what she learns with me. Of course, a lot of these tools that she's being taught sound very familiar to me because of what I'm learning with you. So I asked her, would she listen to the PowerPoint presentation on YouTube by Bill Constantino.
Right.
She said, I said, about 30 minutes. And she said, well, if it's that important to you, let's set an appointment and listen to it together. And we got the video and comment on it and so forth. So we did that this morning.
Oh, wow.
And, yes, it was amazing. It was such a great experience. And, you know, she really appreciated the references. And she said, well, this is obviously valuable because it's scientifically based. And a lot of the psychologists today still haven't caught up with the science of how the ADHD mind works. Now, one of the beliefs she's chosen that is different from what I've chosen is she doesn't believe that the brain can be changed. It's not, in general, that can't be changed, but this ADHD neurological feature cannot be changed. And because of the two, I choose the belief that it's just energy, and of course it can be changed.
Right.
But, you know, there's Lance been learning and what I've been learning. It was just very, very affirming. So thank you for all the many disciplines you've studied, and thank you, Yeshua, for however you knew these things that you shared it.
For sure, I'm with you. And my thought comes that a perfect follow-up to watching that would be the invitation. I feel like the session we did on Saturday with Chuck and Magda is one of the most powerful pieces in the whole body of work in looking at language and how it works. So that might be another interesting one to share with your daughter and see what opens and, you know, expand the whole concept of energy and words, how words impact perception. And ADHD is just a way of perceiving, or at least what's called ADHD,
right.
is just a way of perceiving, and, you know, perception shifts when you engage in forgiveness. That's just the way it works.
Yeah. I had that same goal because she and her husband are getting some counseling and coaching on how they communicate. And
Right.
so I will definitely invite her to watch that with me.
Sweet.
Awesome. Anyway, I'm complete, and I just wanted to express my appreciation for all that I'm learning in these classes.
Sweet. That's awesome. And I have talked with Magda, and she's going to review the video a couple times, and we're anticipating there are going to be more questions for her, more clarification, and for everybody that was part of that extra intensive session. And so we're planning, we've had the conversation that we will do still another extra session on the intensive specifically geared to her questions and anybody else's questions around that particular session and the responsibility communication tools. So if you would, and anybody else that was part of the intensive, if you weren't there on Saturday, you have in your inbox a link to that video. Give it a watch. And I mean, we got down to some of the really deep, nitty-gritty kind of stuff very powerfully, and I really appreciate Magda's willingness, Chuck's willingness to step in, and the fact that Magda has used that tool for many years, and just a whole different level of clarification came out. And so if there are additional questions, please make notes as you watch it, and then we'll set up within the next couple of weeks another session to answer all those questions.
Awesome. Yes, I'll review it, definitely. Okay, thank you, Michael.
Okay, appreciate you. Blessings. Lots of love. Bye-bye. I do have a little difficulty, by the way, visualizing you in the miniskirt going through Bangkok. But anyway, different times.
Yeah.
All right. You have a blessed day. All right, Miss Jeanie. Do you have anybody else out there with a hand up in the phone queue?
No other hands up, no questions in the chat room, so I guess go to the reading.
To the book. Yeah. Yeah, we're heading into page 54, the last page on the chapter, What is Projection Externalization, chapter 9. And if you don't have a copy of the book, why is this happening to me again? It's out of print, so we can't sell you one. But you can, because way back 20 whatever years ago we published it, we spread tens of thousands of books around the country and around the globe. So usually Amazon has got a few of them online available, used, and so does eBay. So you can pick up a copy, usually for an embarrassingly cheap $2 or $3. So,
Worksheet
but in any event, it's there. Yeah, there you go. And or you can just go to our website and download it free. So you can print it off yourself, or read it on your computer, your phone, however that works. But we're heading into page 54, and we've been talking about this whole idea that we will tend to, in blocks of truth, defend the projected perceptual content of our minds based in our own hostility and fear issues. We will tend to defend it as, no, this is the truth. And I can prove that it's true about you, where when you really understand how the human mind works, the mind always reveals its own content first. So whatever shows up in your mind as a perceptual construct always tells you more about the content of your mind than the world you think you're looking at. And where there's any form of hostility or fear, disturbance or upset, then we know that that content's being projected into one's brain's image of others. And especially when one goes into resistance, I don't want to do this, I don't want to deal with this, I don't want to feel this, I certainly don't want to go in and experience the root of this raw, unresolved, painful situation in my life. So now I'm going to make pictures about you and make excuses for why you're now the problem, and I'm out of here. And that's just a part of the healing process. It's a normal part that shows up in everybody's process at some point or another. And we just invite people to keep breathing and do their work. So we're talking to Richard, the character in the book, about self-destructive behavior. And I offer him the thought, a clue that a self-destructive behavior is our treasure, that is, and I had just quoted to him the scriptural idea that said, where your heart is, there will be your treasure, your unconscious. So we'll defend the content of the heart, the unconscious content, the projected content. We'll defend it, oftentimes to the death. So a clue that a self-destructive behavior is our quote-unquote treasure is that we defend it, though it is harmful to ourselves and others. When you're out of harmony with the lawful, orderly process of life, and as a result, a behavior is producing disease. Richard, I suggest you do whatever is required to change it and stop looking for ways to defend it. I express my amazement at how people engage in behavior proven to produce destructive and defend their right to that behavior, while insisting that doctors or government find a cure for them. So somebody does a disease-producing behavior, justifies it, makes it righteous, and in so doing, you can watch it in whole communities, it creates disease, pain, trauma, and suffering. But they then expect somebody else to fix it for them, somebody else to take care of them while they go on doing the behavior. And it's just, it's kind of silly. So notice, for instance, how many people drink to excess on a daily basis and keep searching for a way to cure their hangovers. The cure is simple. Stop the behavior. The problem with that solution for the average person is that with the defense mechanism out of the way, they'll have to confront and deal with their treasure. So whatever we've used to rationalize our behavior, if we, when you look at that word rationalize, when we create these stories, we're lying to ourselves. And when we start telling ourselves the truth, the basic principles we've been living by, like, all women are like that, or all men are like that, or people do, whatever that treasure is, whatever that thing is that we keep going back to in order to not have to look at and deal with that part of our own minds. When you start moving toward truth, then you have to deal with that basic precept that maybe you've lived your whole life by, and if there's hostility or fear, it's based in a lie. So ultimately, this work is about giving up all of our lies and beginning to use language, beginning to speak in a way that we tell ourselves and express with honest, clear language, responsible language, what it is that's going on. And as we come out of blockage of truth, stress goes up. So when one's living in blockage of truth, what's the simplest example of that? You made me angry. Now, every time in my life I've been angry, I'm the one who's been there. You can't make me angry. You might trigger my anger into activity, but you're nowhere near the cause of my anger. But when I say you make me angry, I create a principle that becomes my unconscious treasure. I have to be able to prove every time it happens that you're the cause of my anger. And I can't admit that every time I've been angry, I've been there and my anger is about me. That's what we mean by a treasure. And so when I and confronted with the truth of it, and it might be over and over again, and finally I go, okay, I'm going to let go of this belief, and I'm going to change my language. Instead of "you made me angry," I'm going to shift my language into responsibility language, and that is, I notice that every time you do this, it brings up my anger, and I'm ready to start to own the fact that I have anger in my mind, and I'm ready to clean it up. Well, the stress of doing that is going to be enormous. But that's part of the process of healing. And if you're ever going to deal with one of these lies that you call your treasure, like the way you play your life out like it's somebody else's fault, then you start to process that hidden part of your mind. It can bring up a lot of stress because there are a lot of goals around that particular treasure, whatever it happens to be. And as I become willing to embrace the truth instead of telling my lies, then I begin to change everything in my world. And I'm going to get to process through the pain that I've used that anger to anesthetize, because anger is not an emotion. Anger is a drug. So I say, you're the cause of my anger. What happens is when you come around, you resonate. A part of my mind that's got hurt in it. I don't want to feel that hurt, so I use anger as the drug to anesthetize my hurt. That hurt becomes my treasure, and I defend against it. I don't want to look there. I don't let anybody get close enough to it. But and in so doing, I perpetuate my disease process. So what we're looking to do with this work is to provide tools to process through those hidden parts of the mind and wake up to the truth of who we are as the presence of love. And it's an interesting process to come out of blockage of truth and to honor truth sufficiently to allow facts to stand as facts. We've heard in the political arena over the last couple of years, as one particular person coined this term, alternative facts, like there could possibly be such a thing. Alternative facts just mean I'm in blockage of truth, and so I'm going to put a whole different reality in this space that maintains the lie, but keeps me pretending that I'm into truth. Now, it's a big stress for somebody to open that, and that's why we don't see it happen very often. And as one takes these tools in hand and uses them, it tends to become easier and easier and easier to just embrace those traumatized energies in the presence of love, process through them, and then just allow ourselves to be with the truth. So honoring truth becomes the lesson of this particular chapter that we're coming close to completing. And we've got about 10 minutes left, so we've got time for another conversation or two.
We have a hand up.
Oh, great. Let's say hello.
541, I think this is Celinda.
Hello, it is Celinda. How are you this fine morning, afternoon, your time?
We're wonderful. How are you, young lady?
Good. I got in late on the show. So, yes, I do. I got in late on the show, so I don't know if Doug and you had a conversation this morning or not, but I must mention to you.
Have not heard from Doug today.
Okay. That what he came up with, any rebellion will get me killed, was exactly right on target for me. And so I'm very grateful for that, sharing that he was willing to be vulnerable and share that. And your mind shifter. It is safe, healing, and life-enhancing for me to surrender to authority, and it enhances my prosperity and safety. I had a really big aha when my mind was just turning that over. And the aha I had was that all of my life I have built a relationship substitution file right on top of source, of my life source, and I put my mother there.
Uh-huh.
And that was, I realized that's why I just didn't want to surrender. because I thought that surrendering to Source meant submitting to my mother's will.
Right.
And that just a big load fell off of me. So
nice.
I just wanted to share that with you. I am really surrendering to love in relation to my Hydra as well, and I would like to share that with you, but that might take quite a few minutes, and we don't have time this morning.
We've got about 8 minutes left.
Okay. It's related to the journey in our 30th sailboat from Kauai to Coos Bay, Oregon in 1988, right after Larry and I were married. I never realized what a big Hydra that was, or what a big head of the Hydra that was. That journey was 2,496 miles. Larry and I were the only crew. We came so close to perishing several times, at least 7 that I have listed.
Courageous journey, wow.
I didn't. I was terrified. I have to share with you that I had my eyes checked for nearsightedness for a new prescription right before I left. When we got to Oregon, I went into the DMV to get a driver's license and almost didn't pass it. That's how terrorized I was.
It had changed your vision, your ability to see that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
And also, as a naturopath, you'll really relate to this. When I would go to urinate, it would be like thick, viscous coffee. That's how terrified it was. And did I share this journey with you already about sailing across the ocean?
No, I haven't.
Because
I haven't heard
didn't
that
want
from
to
you.
be redundant. Okay. That journey was a 2,496-mile journey. I just happened to look it up today. I've never thought to do that. It took us 32 days. During the time...
That's pretty fast. That's almost 100 miles a day.
Right. In a slug of a sailboat, no less. Yeah, it was not amazing. A fast sailboat. And I owe my life to Larry's skills. Because 4 days out, our mainsail ripped in half. He had just had it resewed.
Right.
And then after that, our radio equipment, which was brand new, failed.
Ouch.
And and the Loran, that we were too far off shore for the Loran to be real accurate.
For it to read, right?
Yeah. Fortunately, Larry had taught himself celestial navigation when he was living in Oregon before. It was his navigation.
Breathing with you?
Yes. And then one day, I had just gotten off shift. And you change shifts very rapidly on the ocean because your life depends on it. So he gets up there, and there's a tanker coming towards us full steam ahead. And if someone hadn't noticed the radar, we wouldn't be here. And then another time, a seagoing tug, was tugging a barge. If you've ever seen their cables, they're humongous. Right. And we were right between the tug and the barge. Fortunately, the tug saw us and stopped, so the cable couldn't sink. And then our propane went out. And if I hadn't squirreled away 24 boxes of Triscuits and bite-sized shredded wheat and mayonnaise and spirulina, or green, superfood.
Right, sure powder, right?
We wouldn't have had any food for several days before we got into port. And then the last thing was on the final couple of days, 2 or 3 days, there is an infamous
1 minute
storm that happens. Pardon?
We've got 1 minute.
Okay. Let's continue this conversation. There's one. Let's continue it tomorrow morning. I should be free.
Yeah, I'll be interested in hearing the rest of the journey. That's pretty powerful. It makes me think about the movie. If you haven't seen it, it might be a good review to process and, bring up any more energy around this whole thing that needs to be processed. Was the Kon-Tiki expedition. Powerful film if you haven't
I've never
seen it.
That. Yeah,
I'll
write
find it
that
interesting.
down.
But I'll look forward to hearing the rest of that tomorrow. That sounds like a really major life event that you've got some work to do around, and we're here to hold the space for it.
Oh, yeah, and it's taken me right down to the source head of the Hydra.
Sweet. All right, well, we'll look forward to continuing the conversation tomorrow. And in the meantime, everybody, have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. You can give it, the world needs it, and you deserve it. Blessings.